So today we're going to do another easy recipe, but before we start, make sure you've got your apron on and that you've washed your hands and your nails, because we're going to do a bit of easy baking. So today's recipe is Welsh cakes, but you don't actually have to be Welsh to make Welsh cakes. My granny was Scottish. So first of all, we need to look at our ingredients. I'm using today spelt flour. I'm a big lover of heritage grains and speciality flours. The thing about spelt is it has a lot less gluten in than normal modern wheat, and it has a lower glycemic index, and therefore you tend to get less bloating. The downside, of course, is that it's the gluten that gives flour its elasticity, so sometimes you just have to treat it in a slightly different way to how you would treat wheat. So we're using spelt flour, milk, 1 egg, a touch of ground spice for extra authenticity, some baking powder because the spelt flour isn't self-raising, it's just plain flour. You could of course use normal self-raising flour, and we're going to use some leftover dried mixed fruit from Christmas. I didn't use it over Christmas, so we're going to use that. And lastly, some butter. So first of all, we're going to weigh out our flour. We want about 200 grams of flour. So we're going to sieve the flour into a bowl, like so. And then we're going to weigh out some butter. We want about 100 grams of butter. I'm going to cut it into small pieces. We need a little bit more. That should do. So then we add the butter to the bowl, and also we need about 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Level teaspoons of baking powder. And we also need a pinch of ground mixed spice. This gives it extra authenticity. And lastly, just a pinch of sea salt. Then what we're going to do is we're going to mix and rub together to form fine breadcrumbs. Don't worry if it takes a little while, especially if the butter is quite firm. You could instead, if you prefer to, you don't like to get your hands dirty, you could use the back of a fork, but the butter would need to be slightly softer than it is. So now we see that we've got almost fine breadcrumbs. It also helps if you lift your fingers up through the air as well. It helps to put some lighter touch to the pastry. That's about ready now. So I'm going to crack the egg. And give it a good mix. And add it to the pastry. and give it a good stir. So this needs some milk in it as well to bring it all together. But first I'm going to add the dried mixed fruit, like so. It's a good way of using leftovers. You could add any fruit actually if you wanted to, but you don't even have to add any fruit at all. It's just personal preference. Now I'm going to add a splash of milk, and hopefully this will bring it all together. Just add a drop to begin with. You don't want the mixture to become too wet. I'm going to add just a touch more, like so. That's looking good. I'm going to bring it now together with my hands to form a ball of dough. And there we go. That's all mixed thoroughly and we've got a ball of dough. Now you could roll this out straight away, but I'm now going to cover it with cling film and chill it in the fridge for about half an hour. So I've got some cling film. I'll take the ball of dough and wrap it thoroughly in cling film and then pop it in the fridge to rest for about half an hour. So I'm going to take the dough from the fridge and unwrap it, ready to roll. And I need to stand the circles on a board once they've been rolled out. I'm going to sprinkle a little spelt flour on a clean work surface and on the rolling pin, and I'm going to start to roll out. This needs to be quite thin. Normally it might be something like 1/4 of an inch thick. You can have it thicker of course because it will take longer to cook. Move it around. And that's about right. So I'm going to use a cutter to make circles like so. Now if you don't have a cutter, it doesn't matter. You can use a glass. You might have to press a little bit firmer though in order to make the circles. You might have to remove it with your fingers. Put them on the board like so. And I'm going to continue cutting circles until all the dough is used. So now we've done all the Welsh cakes and there's about 12 circles there. The next thing to do is to place them on a griddle or in a heavy based frying pan. We're going to cook each cake on both sides for 2 to 3 minutes each side. So the first thing we need to do is to grease the griddle pan or the frying pan. And this is what I keep old butter papers for, with butter residue. It's really good for greasing. I'm going to grease the pan over. You don't want too much butter, because then you would find that the cake would be more frying than griddling. and then we're going to put it over a good heat and let it warm up. So now the pan is hot enough, I'm going to place a few circles on the griddle and let them cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'll be flipping them over. Don't worry if it smokes a little bit, this is perfectly normal. If you feel after doing 2 or 3 that you need some extra greasing, do remember to take the griddle pan off the heat, otherwise you could burn yourself quite badly. So now I'm going to flip them over. And cook the other side for 2 to 3 minutes. You can see that they have risen a little bit, they've started to rise. So now you see that the cakes have risen quite well and they're nice and brown from the griddle. And I'm going to transfer these to a serving plate to keep warm. Making Welsh cakes is an activity you can do with children, and they enjoy making this kind of thing, but you need to make sure that an adult actually cooks them on the griddle. For health and safety reasons, a child could burn themselves quite badly, but it's certainly an activity that you could get them involved in. So now we're going to cook the rest of the Welsh cakes, and I'll show you how to finish them off. So to serve, I'm going to put 2 on a plate and butter them up. The butter will melt in as long as they're still warm. These have gone a bit cool now. And then you can add a blob of jam. This is homemade jam, on each. And if you want to be really naughty, you can add a blob of British extra thick double cream. But it's January and it's post-Christmas flab, so no cream for me. And there we have it, my beautiful Welsh cakes.